you. So here's our lesson for today. So, do you remember the comedian Groucho Marx? Yeah. I may be a little bit too young, actually, but I do remember of him. So one of his favorite quotes that he would say is that he would never wish to be a part of any group that would have him as a member, right? And yet he was actually the core of the group, the Marx Brothers, this comedic group that was back in the 30s and 40s. So if you remember them, we won't go there. But the truth is that even the most resistant among us, we all want to belong to something bigger than ourselves. And it is through this desire that we find our way into communities just like this one. We desire to belong. And the truth is we've needed to belong our entire lives. It's part of our survival needs, our most basic needs. You don't have to play right now. Our young I'll promise I'll call you up. He wanted to play. This is going to get to be a long lesson, right? So here's the deal. Our young survival need to belong brought us into families and other communities when we were young. And these young experiences teach us and inform us about what belonging to other people feels like. We learn about belonging in our families and schools and churches and whatever groups of people that you were exposed to at a young age. And in those places, we began to look at ourselves. And we either saw ourselves as lovable and worthy to belong or not. And along the way into adulthood, what we believed about ourselves in those ways began to play out and show up for us in every group and every community that we began to play around with. And over again, we either saw ourselves fitting in or we saw ourselves being rejected or disappointed and withdrawn by our experiences. And some of us distanced ourselves from our families of origin and the communities of our youth. You know, some of us moved away and began to create chosen families with which to do the journey of life. You know, precious friends and became our chosen sisters and brothers and mothers and fathers and aunts and uncles. These were our people of choice. And others of us decided to continue to hang with our families of origin. You know, finding comfort with that familiarity or that place where we grew up, and we kind of sorted through any missteps that we may have had along the way. Whatever works and wherever you feel loved, it's all good. But here we are in spiritual community. Now that's a sticky wicket. Right? Because what I know to be true about myself, I also know to be true about several of you because I know your stories. So religion as a child was not a place where I felt like I belonged. You know, for those of you who aren't familiar with my story, I was raised in a fundamentalist Pentecostal kind of environment, and that kind of religion, that God that I was taught about, didn't accept me as a gay person. It barely accepted me as a woman, and it definitely did not accept me as a question asker, right? That God didn't value diversity, and it basically required obedience, and it judged. That God was very judging. And pretty much anything interesting about being a human being, that God really didn't like, right? So can you relate, right? So in my religious community, if you were allowed to belong, there were lots and lots of rules. There were lots of rules, strict rules. There was a lot of mental and spiritual manipulation kind of going on. And I witnessed quite a bit of harmful leadership and toxicity in the religion of my youth. And so rejection in that group for me, it was kind of a Groucho Marx thing. I wanted to be rejected, and then at the same time I feared it. But I truly didn't want to belong to that group that wanted me to conform in order to belong. So I ran, and I vowed to never be a part of anything like that again. And sometimes we protect ourselves from the fear of rejection or the fear of manipulation by saying, I don't belong here. I don't belong in this church or this city or this country or whatever. We just say, I don't belong. And this way of being kind of continues this delusion of separation. that human level idea that we're each out for ourselves. And we isolate ourselves to avoid the pain of that anticipated rejection. But if we can lean into our urge to belong, because we all have it, it calls us forth to be more vulnerable and transparent and authentic. And if we can do that, we can find a place for ourselves that feels right. So for myself, deep inside, I missed spiritual community. I missed belonging to a larger group of people, like that were kind of going through life together. But I needed that situation to feel very, very different than it had felt for me earlier. Maybe you needed similar things to what I needed that brought you here. I needed an intelligent spiritual teaching. I needed inclusive and open-minded people. I needed laughter and kindness. I needed to be valued for who I was, not for what someone else viewed that I should be. I needed freedom to learn and to grow whatever I needed to learn and grow. And I needed to be able to kind of sort through my beliefs about God and life and the bigger questions. I wanted to do that on my own, but I also wanted some guidance in doing that too. I needed a place to help me heal and thrive in my life. I needed a group of people who cared about each other and encouraged each other. Basically, I needed a sangha. Do you know that word, sangha? Sangha, this is the definition of it. Sangha is a community of individuals dedicated to creating a sustaining environment that nurtures and supports reverence, mindfulness, and spirituality as a lifestyle. One of our CSL ministers that has spoken here many times, Dennis Merritt Jones, he also talked about Sangha, and he said, in Sangha, one of the primary elements created is a feeling of safety. Each one is respected, accepted, and loved as they are. It's a safe place to be who one is. In such an environment, it's amazing to witness each other unfold in their own unique spiritual nature with grace, elegance, and ease in their own time and space. And when we add to this the elements of playfulness and seva, it's another unusual word, it means service to others, we have true spiritual community, sangha. This is a good place to be. So yeah, that's what I needed. That's what I needed way back then. And I didn't even know what I needed until I found it. And my prayer is that each one of you have found this good place to be here in this room, your own personal sangha. Maybe we'll make that word a part of our vocabulary around here. We're a sangha. Because in spiritual community, we have a place for us to practice learning these spiritual laws together. You know, what do we learn? We learn about the law of cause and effect, the law of circulation, the law of abundance, all these laws. And together we have created a spiritual family where we can learn more about living the qualities of God. You know, we talk about those, love and beauty and passion and life and light and energy and peace and joy and all of those things, just to name a few. And we do these things day by day, week by week. And we witness each other as we grow and we heal and we evolve. And we come here because we're in a world that is full of divisiveness and anger and frustration and arguing. And so we come to community to find a sense of peace. Mother Teresa spoke to this very thing when she said, if we have no peace, it's because we have forgotten we belong to each other. Here we're trying to remember that we belong to each other. Here we're trying to live this concept of oneness that we've been taught since we were little but never really made sense. That's why we create community together, to embody and live the quality of belonging. You know, I talked about this in Sacred Cup this morning. We were discussing the difference between the phrase belonging to something and belonging in something. And this Sacred Cup conversation this morning was a continuation of an online conversation that CSL ministers from around the world were discussing the difference between belonging to and belonging in. And we were agreeing online and in the Sacred Cup room that belonging to something means that there's just like a little bit of separation, right? I belong to something. It implies that there's a distance between myself and the group that I belong to or the thing that I belong to. But when I belong in a group, it implies that something within me fits there, like I'm a piece of the puzzle, like I'm a part. I belong in the picture that is being created. You know, in our unifying experience, I use the analogy of soup, that we're all putting our ingredients in the soup together, bringing our individual qualities and gifts to kind of stir in to something that nourishes us in return. And I want to use this puzzle piece idea to illustrate this concept of belonging. Rebecca found me a cool puzzle piece slide. So I want you to look at those puzzle pieces and notice that in this traditionally shaped puzzle pieces, you're going to see prongs that stick out from the center of the puzzle piece and then hollows that go in toward the center. And so that means this puzzle piece can extend itself to other pieces, but also there's a way for it to receive what other pieces extend toward them. It is a symbol of giving and receiving. And earlier, each of you wrote down something that you give here in community and something you receive here. You are a vital piece of the puzzle. You are a part of the picture that we are creating here. And today, if you weren't here, our picture would not be complete. Because when you choose to step in and embody this concept of belonging, you acknowledge, hey, I have some unique gifts, and I prepare myself to share them in a bigger idea, in service of a bigger idea. But we also prepare ourselves to see and acknowledge the gifts that other people are bringing that we can accept to receive. There's a big thing that happens when you decide that you belong someplace. It's a choice that activates the creation of community for yourself and those around you. Your choice to belong is powerful. And until you make the decision to belong, you're going to hover on the edge of any group that you're around and watch others belong. And you tell yourself a story that I don't belong here. But when you make the choice to belong, the energy of the universe matches that choice, and suddenly you belong. And I invite you to choose to belong. Today we celebrate belonging. We have this tree that we created together called the Tree of Belonging, and it's not an observance of any holiday or to celebrate anything in particular other than that we acknowledge the light that shines through each of us. And our tree is in celebration of what we create here together. So thank you for bringing the things to put on the tree that represent you. There are some interesting things up here on the tree, and I know that they represent very unique members of our community. Glorious expressions of God that sit together every week. This is just a symbol of it, right? And so I appreciate this tree of belonging. And so now what I want to do is I want us all to celebrate the soup that we get to eat here every Sunday. I want to participate in a ceremony of sorts to acknowledge the gifts that we give here and the gifts that we receive here. So I'm going to pick up the basket. If you did not submit a piece of paper earlier, they're in your program, or Rebecca can give you one really quick. Raise your hand if you did not submit one and want to submit one. I know you see you have one. Everybody else has one? Awesome. So what I want you to do, and I'm going to need that wireless microphone. What I want you to do is if you're willing to participate in this ceremony, I want you to form a circle in the exterior of the room. You have to put your blankets down and and stand in a circle. If you don't mind being on camera doing this, come up this direction. If you don't want to be on camera, stay back there. And we are going to, I'll take the mic.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. What? In just a minute. He wants to be on camera. They want to be on camera. Okay. Thank you. Will you mute that one so I don't? So what we're going to do first is I'm going to pass this basket, and I want you to pull a piece of paper. Notice you won't be pulling your own. You're not going to read your own. So I'm going to pass that first. So pull a piece of paper and pass it around. And if there are extra pieces of paper, I'll read those up here. So we are going to acknowledge the gifts here that we give and receive in this community. And I trust that you will get the one that you're supposed to get, and you can keep this piece of paper and stick it in your pocket, if you will, and it's yours to keep. And I'll wait till the basket gets all the way back around. And what we're going to do is we're going to read aloud the gifts that are given in this community and the gifts that are received in this community. So I'm going to pass to Derek so that he can read his, and then he can play for us as we go through the ceremony. So what you're basically going to say is, I give blank, and I receive whatever your word is. All right, so get prepared.
I bring my gift of myself to this community. I have received a better vision of myself from this community.
I bring my gift of love to this community. I have received acceptance from this community.
I bring my gift of love and services to this community, and I have received love and belonging from this community.
I bring my gift of knowledge and unconditional love to this community, and I have received friendships from this community.
I bring my gift of love to this community. I have received love from this community.
I bring my gift of acceptance to this community. I have received love from this community.
I bring my gift of compassion to this community. I have received support from this community.
I bring my gift of generosity to this community. I have received love from this community.
I bring my gift of laughter to this community. I receive love from this community.
I bring works, and I have received compassion.
I bring my gift of friendship to this community, and I receive love from this community.
I bring my gift of acceptance and compassion to this community. I have received love and acceptance from this community.
I bring my gift of prosperity and love to this community. I have received blessing, connectedness, heart-open education, human from this community.
I bring my gift of self-expression and light to this community. I have received love and acceptance from this community.
I bring my gift of financial support to this community. I have received friendliness, spiritual support, and joy of travel.
I bring my gift of service to this community, and I have received love from this community.
I bring my gift of all that I am to this community. I have received a sense of community that I feel a part of from this community.
I bring my gift of humor and encouragement to this community. I received understanding and patience from this community.
I bring my gift of a welcoming smile to this community. I have received a sense of spirit from this community.
I bring my gift of love to this community. I have received support from this community.
I bring my gift of a sense of humor to this community. I received joy from this community.
I bring my gift of accepting all people to this community. I have received love and friendship from this community.
I bring the gift of love to this community. I have received peace from this community.
I bring my gift of friendship to this community. I have received teaching from this community.
I bring my gift of laughter to this community. I have received friends from this community.
I bring my gift of laughter, friendship, and service to this community. I have received acceptance, support, and healing from this community.
I bring my gift of musicality to this community. I have received direction from this community.
I bring my gift of truth to this community, and I have received insight from this community.
And I have 3 of them in the bottom of the basket. I bring my gift of willingness to belong to this community, and I have received belonging to this community. I bring my gift of authenticity to this community, and I have received acceptance from the community. I bring my gift of wisdom to this community, and I have received love from this community. And so I want you to understand that whether you could have written any of those words down, those are gifts that are available to you in this community. And I invite you to open your heart and receive whatever this community has to offer you. And I invite you to place your hand on your heart. And I want you to say the words, I belong here.
I
belong here. And then I invite you to extend your hand out and look around and say several times, you belong here.
You belong here.
You belong here. You belong here. And put your hand back on your heart, and I invite you to pray with me. What I know in this moment is that God is present. As this community, God shows up. As each individual in this community is an expression of Spirit itself, swirling together to create this beautiful place of giving and receiving, of creating soup and consuming soup. And I know that each one is nourished and feels compassion and openness and willingness to be loved and to love. I am so thankful. I am so thankful for each one in this circle. I'm thankful for each symbol of uniqueness that is on this tree. And I'm thankful for the spirit of belonging and acceptance that we have created here together in the name of Spirit. And so with that gratitude, I release this to the law, knowing that it accepts it and makes it so, and that this is our experience here to the degree that we lean in and swim in it. And it is delicious and fun, and so it is. And so